Remember the good old days? No, not those good old days, the other ones. Back when Intel Inside meant something, when their chips were the brains behind every computer worth owning. Yeah, well, those days are gone. Intel, the once mighty king of silicon, has fallen on hard times. And by hard times, I mean they just asked their CEO Pat Gelsinger to spend more time with his stock options. Gelsinger, who took the reins in 2021, was supposed to be the company's savior. He was the prodigal son, returning to the company where he'd spent 30 years to lead them back to glory. But instead of a triumphant comeback, Gelsinger's time at Intel has been more like a slow-motion car crash. The stock price tanked. Competitors like AMD and Nvidia ate their lunch, and the company's once unshakable grip on the chip market went from iron fist to limp wrist. So what went wrong? How did the company that built the brains of the digital revolution end up looking like a deer in the headlights of technological change? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dissect this silicon disaster. Let's start with a little history lesson. When Gelsinger took over, Intel was already facing some headwinds. Their chip manufacturing process, the thing that made them competitive, was lagging behind. They were struggling to keep up with the demands of new technologies like artificial intelligence and 5G. Gelsinger promised to fix all that. He announced a bold plan called IDM 2.0, to invest billions in new factories and catch up to the competition. But there's a big difference between making promises and delivering results, and in the tech world, time waits for no CEO, not even one with a plan as ambitious as IDM 2.0. The competition, especially AMD, smelled blood in the water. They swooped in with faster, cheaper chips and started eating away at Intel's market share. Meanwhile, Gelsinger's big bet on manufacturing hit some snags. Building new factories is expensive and time-consuming, and Intel seemed to be constantly playing catch-up. It wasn't just external pressure that was causing problems for Intel. The company seemed to be plagued by internal issues as well. There were reports of leadership struggles, with executives coming and going like it was a game of revolving doors. Morale among employees reportedly plummeted faster than their stock price. And Gelsinger's management style, described by some as old school and autocratic, didn't help matters. But perhaps the biggest challenge facing Intel is the same one that faces any tech giant: the relentless pace of innovation. The chip industry is constantly evolving, with new technologies emerging all the time. Companies that can't keep up risk being left behind. And right now Intel looks a lot like a company struggling to keep up. They've made some progress under Gelsinger's leadership, but it hasn't been enough to silence the doubters or turn the tide back in their favor. So, what happens now? Can Intel be saved? The short answer is, maybe. The company still has a lot going for it. They have a long history of innovation, a global brand, and a ton of resources. But they need to make some big changes if they want to reclaim their spot at the top of the tech world. They need to streamline their manufacturing process, invest in cutting-edge technologies, and maybe even consider some acquisitions to boost their portfolio. But most importantly, they need a leader who can unite the company, inspire their employees, and chart a clear path forward. Whether that leader is waiting in the wings or needs to be found from outside the company remains to be seen. One thing's for sure, the future of Intel, and maybe even the future of the tech industry, depends on it.